We are in the beginning of May, and May, as we all know, among the CIMA community, is the month of case studies. So we have got, depending on what level case study you are sitting, approximately 2 weeks before you are sitting your case study exam. So what I wanted to do was provide a video today where I run through an example of an exam question and an answer of how I answered the exam during my time as a CIMA student. And hopefully this video can teach you a few principles that you can apply to answering your own questions, which will allow you to get more marks. We're just going to roll the intro and we're going to get stuck straight in. It could be a longer one today. I'm fully prepared for that. And it's the first time I'm doing a video like this. So let's just see how it goes. Let's go. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's CRAIGO and I'm a fully qualified chartered management accountant, and I'm here to shed my learning to you. As I mentioned in the intro, today we are going to be looking at a model answer when it comes to preparing, planning and writing your CIMA case study exams. So if you are sitting a case study in May, then please do be sure to stick around for the full video. I can assure you I will add some value to you all. Before we do run through this video, I'm just going to run through my protocol to answering an exam question. And my point number one is to understand what the question is asking and identify how many marks are up for grabs. We're then going to run through how you can plan your essay style question before setting out the structure and working through each part of your plan and getting your ideas down on paper. Last but not least, we will look at the review phase and why I believe this is extremely important to have an ongoing constant review while you are writing your case study exam answer. And I'm going to be running through an example which I have made up today of a question and how I would answer this question. So hopefully this video will provide some value to you. You can adopt these techniques and apply it to you answering your own essay style questions. So I'm just going to jump into the computer behind me and we're going to go ahead and run through a full illustration of this exam question for your case study exams. The question that I've come up with for the sake of the walkthrough today is: Matt, the financial director, has emailed you quoting a breaking news headline that Conda has outsourced some of their services to another organisation as part of their new strategy. Can you please compile an email of the advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing to CRAIGO and your overall verdict on whether you believe outsourcing would be a strong business decision for us? On top of this, I would also like to read an article surrounding IAS 16. Please can you lay out what IAS 16 is and which costs we can capitalise to the business of CRAIGO. So the first point that I touched on was understanding the question and allocating the marks to the exam question that you're answering. So typically in the operational level case study exam, you'll have 4 questions. Each will be 45 minutes long and each will be worth 25 marks. Therefore, you can see that this question has 2 points, and therefore you should be looking at allocating roughly half of the marks to the question. So we're looking at 12 to 13 points for the first part of the question, 12 to 13 points for the second part of the question. The part of the question that we're going to be focusing on today is the first point. So can you please compile an email of the advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing to CRAIGO and your overall verdict on whether you believe outsourcing would be a strong business decision to us? So first of all, the buzzword in there is outsourcing. The second buzzwords are the advantages and the disadvantages. So now all of a sudden we know that we are expected to list the advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing to the CRAIGO business. And just to note, the CRAIGO is essentially Mercedes. I've just made it up. So we're in the automobile industry, and we're looking at all outsourcing functions of the CRAIGO business to another company. So then that moves us on to our second point, which is to plan. So if you break the 12 marks down into manageable chunks and assume that each point that you make could be worth 2 marks. Note, you can even be given a 3rd or 4th mark, but we'll go on the basis of 2 marks because, as always, the first 2 marks are far easier to obtain than the 3rd and 4th mark. So if we assume that and we look at a 13 mark question, we will need 6 points. So we'll need 3 advantages and 3 disadvantages. So on screen now, here's a list of advantages that I prepared earlier for outsourcing. Obvious advantages is it improves focus on the core and value add activities by eliminating the non-value add activities out of the business and allowing the business to focus on where it can add value. There's increased efficiencies because it takes out the more time-consuming parts of the processes and enables a different separate organisation to do those for you. Third point is cost control. So it may actually be cheaper to pay a company to do it for you rather than employ employees to do that for you in terms of time and money, in terms of their salary to do that, and potentially even the machinery and assets that you need for those employees to do that job. Last but not least, a further advantage is that you will have a competitive advantage over your competitors. As you are a leaner business, you're able to make decisions more quickly. You're able to focus on your core activities, improve the quality of your product, which in turn, and overall, this will increase your competitive advantage. Now, on the other side of things, there are obviously disadvantages with outsourcing. You may have a decreased service in terms of delivery. The outsource company that you outsource to may not be able to deliver the service to as high quality as you were. There's the risk of security and confidentiality of data and processes. So for example, if you was to outsource a process, you would not outsource a core activity because you want to keep that secret in-house. Let's say, for example, for a car business, you was to outsource your manufacturing processes, which are highly secretive, then there's a chance and a risk that information could get in the wrong hands and be given to a business that could then emulate your manufacturing process, therefore a loss of your competitive advantage. You have the lack of flexibility as you are tied into a contract. So for example, there's a high volume suddenly within a short period of time, a surge in volume. Your contract with your customer or your supplier who's performing that service for you may not be built in, and they may refuse to take on the extra workload unless, of course, you build it into the process and pay them more money. And this is one that I've seen in the real world for the company that I work for. And then, of course, just touching on a few more, it could provide some instability to the business while it goes through the processes of outsourcing the service. It could also be difficult to get the service back if you've outsourced it due to a loss of skill and expertise. Third point is to lay out the structure of your exam question and set the scene for your exam. You just need to go to the question and ask what we're being asked for. So he's emailed you, which means you are going to send an email response back. So you just want to set out the scene. So his name's Matt, so we say, "Dear Matt." Through etiquette, we need to put a short introduction, but remember, an introduction does not get you any marks. So we want to be clear and concise as possible. So something like this is sufficient enough. So please see below the advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing forecast savings. Please also find my recommendation. Then what we'll do is we'll just sign it off. Regards, Craig. So then now we've got a structure for our exam question. What we're simply going to do is copy and paste our plan into the exam question. Now it's up to you how you do this, but this is what I would do. Have the text box on the screen. I would plan in the text box rather than using the notepad, and then you can directly now go over and work through your exam question. And what I'm going to do for the purpose of this video is show you how I would just write one bullet point, and then I'll go through the process of how I review that one bullet point, and then we'd go through and finish the exam question off at the end. It's important that you are as specific as possible. Remember, although there is a correlation between the amount of words you write, you need to remember to be specific. And the way you can do that is by using the popular technique P. Point, evidence, and apply. So we are going to look at to improve focus on core value add activities. And examiners love it when the exam question is laid out and it is easy to read and easy to find the marks on the paper. So don't go writing massive text answers. Make it short, sharp, concise. Simply, I will have a heading of advantages. Please see below the advantages of outsourcing forecast sales. And while you're here, you can simply do that under disadvantages as well, and just change disadvantages. Sometimes copy and paste is one of the most beneficial tools for you in an exam. So then we're just going to have, the first one is to improve focus on core value activities. So we make our bullet point our header. So now I've set up my improved focus on core and value add activities as my header. Now I'm going to write four to about 6 lines on this point. So what I would say is outsourcing non-value add functions and processes of the business will enable the workforce to focus their time and effort on the development of the core processes where employees can add value. So you've set the scene. You've basically said that outsourcing non-value add functions and processes of the business will enable the workforce to focus their time and effort on the development of core processes where employees can add value. Now, you've given your point. It's a well-structured point and you can understand exactly what you're talking about. Now you need some evidence. So there may be something in the case study, and although I haven't got a case study on this to hand, so there could be something in the case study which I don't have to hand where it says that the waste time is, or the manufacturing process is 80% reliable, meaning that you have a 20% waste. So what you could say is you can basically apply it to the business or give some evidence to the business around this will then help us to reduce our waste. So what we can say is by eliminating time-consuming processes from by eliminating time-consuming and non-value add processes from the organisation will mean that we can focus time and effort on improving our manufacturing process and reducing the amount of waste that is created when we manufacture our vehicles. So you've now given some evidence. So you basically said that by eliminating the non-value add processes from the organisation, you will be able to improve the processes of the add value and the core processes to the organisation so that you can create less waste and less cost when we manufacture our vehicles. And then what you can say is this will improve the quality of the product for our customers, So then what we can say is this will improve the quality of our processes, reducing the amount of waste to the business by 20% and reducing our carbon footprint by a further 20% due to the reduced amount of waste. So now what you can see is we've built our point. We've said that we'll enable the workforce to focus their time and effort on the development of core processes where employees can add value. There's our point. we currently have a high amount of waste in our manufacturing process, which is 10% higher than our rivals' conduct. We can then say we have a high amount of waste in our manufacturing process, which is 10% higher than our rival conduct. You've got your evidence. You've said that if we can focus more on our value-add activities, then we can reduce our waste. And then by doing that, this will improve the quality of our processes, reducing the amount of waste to the business by 20% and reducing our further carbon footprint by a further 20% due to the reduced amount of waste, effectively giving us more time to improve, effectively giving us more of an opportunity to improve our core processes. So then the next stage, once I'm happy with my answer, is to review it. So like what I've just been doing, I've mentioned the first point, which is my point. So that outsourcing non-value add functions and processes of the businesses will enable the workforce to focus their time and effort on the development of the core processes where employees can add value. That is my point. My evidence is we currently have a high amount of waste in our manufacturing process, which is 10% higher than our rival Conda. There's your evidence. Now you apply it to your business. This will improve the quality of our processes, reducing the amount of waste to the business by 20% and reducing our carbon footprint by a further 20% due to the reduced amount of waste, which effectively gives us more of an opportunity to improve our core processes. And what you've basically said is that you have improved the focus on your core processes and therefore given an opportunity and an insight into ways that you can use this focus to your company's advantage. And what you would then do is work through each one of your bullet points and build a paragraph exactly like that. Once, assuming you have built a paragraph to your 7 different unique points, you come on to the last point, which is to provide a recommendation. So we will just start off with a simple point. Following on from the analysis of outsourcing to car sales, my overriding thought is that we should consider outsourcing non-value add activities to increase our focus on value add activities, which in turn helps to boost our competitive advantage and improves the profitability to our company. And then by giving that final statement, you are answering this point of the question, which is to give your overall verdict on whether you believe outsourcing would be a strong business decision for us. So you have answered that second part of the question, which is likely to give you 2 to 3 marks. And then what you will have is you will have your full question. So you've got your structure in here, an email, dear Matt, regards Craig. You have got your introduction to set the scene. You've got your plan in very well structured arguments in paragraphs and headings. You've got a balanced argument. You've got 4 points advantages, 2 points, 3 points disadvantages. What the examiner does not want to see is 6 advantages and 1 disadvantage. They want a balanced argument, and this approach will enable you to give that. And then you will give your final recommendation at the end. So you will tie all your bullet points together to give how you feel. And you will actually be given points on this. And there isn't necessarily a correct answer. So if I wanted to say there, I don't think we should outsource our business, processes, because of the risk of the security and confidentiality, our manufacturing process is a high competitive advantage to us, and we don't want to risk losing it. As long as you can justify your decision, then they are going to be fully happy with that. And then you have your total exam answer, one that I hope will earn you a lot of marks. This is the first time I've done a video like this, so I do hope you found it useful. If you did, then please do let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed it and want me to do more videos like this, then please feel free to let me know. If you do have any questions, then please do drop me any messages or any improvements. I am more than happy to take a bit of criticism as well, given it is my first time doing this. But that is all from me today. I really hope you enjoyed that video. And if you are sitting your case study in May, then I wish you all the best of luck. Please do subscribe and you will find regular content like this that hopefully can help you with your studies. But that is all from me today, and I'll see you all again in the next one. But until then, goodbye.